Thank you for tuning into another episode of Time Traveler's Handbook. Today we are going to start our talk on Avengers Endgame, the finale of the Avengers quadrilogy that came out 2 years ago. Spoilers ahead for basically the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, because we're going to be talking about a lot. Endgame was brought back to my mind after Falcon and the Winter Soldier aired last week, and it made me think about all of the things that happened in the end of the film. Okay, I'll admit it's been a hot minute since Avengers Endgame came out, but are you still confused about the time travel that happens in that movie? A lot of people might say that it's better if you just don't think about it, and that you should just enjoy the movie for what it is, and not try to think too much about the mechanics and how all of this time travel works. Well, I've thought about it a lot over the last 2 years, so I'm going to attempt to explain how the time travel works in Avengers Endgame. There are a lot of theories about it, there are a lot of things that it could be, and my goal is to present to you all of the possibilities for the explanation of how time travel works in this film and illustrates which ones work and which ones don't. This is going to take multiple episodes, and it's important that you watch them all sequentially so you kind of get the full picture. Alright, first, I think it's important that we revisit exactly what happens in Endgame to get some timeline and continuity questions out of the way right up start, because if we don't have a good framework for working with this movie, then I'm sure lots of us are going to get lost in the weeds. So I know there's some slight confusion on what years the movies leading up to Endgame take place in, so we need to set some assumptions aside about when the important events happen. First, everything that happens in the Marvel Cinematic Universe up to this point happens somewhere in something called the Prime Universe. There are 6 years that matter to Avengers Endgame, and these are where these important events happen in the continuity of the story. There's 1970, which is the year that Hank Pym, Howard Stark, and the Space Stone were all in the same place at the same time. Then there was 2012, which was the Battle of New York. 2013, the Battle of Asgard. 2014, on Morag and Vormir. 2018, which was the year of the snap. And 2023, 5 years after the snap. Okay, let's recap what happens. The Avengers lost the battle against Thanos in Avengers Infinity War, and half of the population of the universe was snapped away. At the same time, Ant-Man travels to the quantum realm and is trapped within, as no one is available on the outside to help pull him out. 23 days after this event, Thanos used the stones to destroy the stones, eliminating the possibility of using them to get everyone back. 5 years later, or 2023, Ant-Man is returned from the quantum realm with the help of a rat. He realizes that time seems to be arbitrary in the quantum realm. For example, he seemed to be there in 5 hours from his perspective, but he was in there for 5 years. So he approaches Captain America and Black Widow with an idea. What if time travel were possible through the quantum realm? And what if you could use it to go back and save everyone? With the help of Iron Man, the Avengers build a time machine. Hawkeye tests the machine by traveling back to before the snap to see that his daughter is still alive, confirming that the time travel works. With this knowledge, the Avengers gear up and set off to retrieve the Infinity Stones from the past. This is really where the confusion and variability in time travel starts, but I'm going to hold off on trying to explain how it all works until the plot summary is finished. At that point, we'll have all the facts we need to lay out our theories on time travel in the upcoming episodes. In total, the Avengers visit 4 separate years on their main mission, starting with Captain America, Iron Man, Ant-Man, and the Hulk in 2012 New York. The Hulk has a conversation with the Ancient One, Captain America spoils the Winter Soldier, and the Time and Mind Stones are retrieved. In addition, Loki escapes with the Space Stone to unknown reaches of the universe. In light of this, Cap and Stark head back to 1970 to steal the Space Stone as well as more Pym particles, and eventually all 4 of them make it back to 2023. The second squad is Thor and Rocket Raccoon heading to Asgard in 2013. Thor has a conversation with his mother, convincing him that he is still worthy, and the duo returns with the Reality Stone and Mjolnir to 2023. The final squad is Black Widow, Hawkeye, Nebula, and War Machine, and they travel to 2014 Morag. Nebula and War Machine quite easily recover the Power Stone, while Black Widow sacrifices herself to grant Hawkeye the Soul Stone. Hawkeye and War Machine immediately travel back, but Nebula is captured by 2014 Thanos, along with this year's version of Nebula and Gamora. 2014 Thanos learns about time travel, steals and reverse engineers Nebula's technology, and has 2014 Nebula travel back to 2023 in 2023 Nebula's place. Having retrieved all of the stones from the past, the Avengers return to 2023 simultaneously, and Hulk uses the stones to bring back the lost half of the universe. Then, with the help of 2014 Nebula, Thanos and his armies time travel to 2023 along with 2014 Gamora and 2023 Nebula. You know the rest. Thanos battles the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Stark uses the stones to defeat Thanos and sacrifice himself. Cue the funeral music. At the end, Captain America uses the time machine to travel back to the years 2014, 2013, 2012, and 1970 to return Mjolnir and the 6 Infinity Stones to their rightful universes, moments after they had been taken, to preserve the continuity of those universes. Rather than traveling back through the time machine to 2023, he appears moments later, sitting on a park bench right next to them, an old man. He had traveled to the 1950s, stayed in the past, and lived out his days with his love, Peggy. Okay, so now that the plot summary is out of the way, there are just a couple of points that we need to address before diving into the different time travel theories of Endgame in future episodes. First, there are several things that the directors and producers have stated as fact in the MCU now, mainly regarding the status of Loki, as well as Peggy and Steve's children. Since the directors and producers have slightly different opinions about the mechanics of the time travel in the movie, as well as basically the facts that they just stated, these facts and other things that they have said to the press and to the media are not necessarily reliable. So we will do our best to explain everything solely based on the events of this movie and confirmed plans for future movies and TV shows. Secondly, there is a key conversation that happens in the movie between the Hulk and the Ancient One. Because of this conversation, we know a couple of things. First, Infinity Stones create linear time. This does not necessarily mean that removing a stone would cause time to break, but it's worth noting. Secondly, removing an Infinity Stone will cause a dark branch timeline to occur. And finally, if the stones are brought back to their original universes only shortly after they left, no dark timeline will occur. From these facts, we can infer that time traveling does not inherently create a dark timeline or even cause deviations in the timeline that is currently occurring. It's the moving the stones that makes the difference. While I initially believed that this conversation that they had completely explained how the time travel works in Endgame, it merely provides insight into our theories and assists in determining which one is the most correct one, and doesn't provide a complete foundation for our final theory. That's it for this episode. Next time, we're going to start getting into the meat of it by talking about the method of time travel that they use to go through to the past. As always, thank you for listening.